Hi, it's Jordan Teen 1, and today I'll be showing you how to make a new bracelet that is a variation of the Starburst in a Circle bracelet that was created by Fay Bee. And here is what the original looked like. So it has this really awesome design. It's three-dimensional, and I will add a link to this tutorial. And then here's what the variation looks like that I'm going to be showing you in this video. So again, it has that similar pattern, but on the edges there is more like a border that goes out, and on the flip side it has a different look to it. So I think they're both pretty cool looking. You can make this bracelet using either the Monster Tail Loom or the Rainbow Loom, and I'm going to be showing it on the Rainbow Loom today. So if you're using the Monster Tail, you would just use these 6 pins. And on the Rainbow Loom, what you want to do is just remove your center row of pins and make sure that you have the 2 end rows in line with one another. Let me just move in closer here. And we're going to be working with 6 pins here, and you just want to make sure that your base plates are spread apart so that your bracelet has room to grow down through the middle. You will need 40 bands for each of the circles on the bracelet, and you will probably need about 7 or 8 of those to fit around your wrist. I'm only going to make 6 for this bracelet, so that's what bands I have. And I've decided to use the Rainbow Loom jelly bands in the rainbow colors for each of the circles, and I have white for the border. So for this pattern, since I'm only going to be making 6 circles, I have 6 of each of the rainbow colors, and then I also have 6 of the clear bands that I'm going to use for the cap band in the middle. Now, since I'm using the Rainbow Loom, the bands are going to have to stretch a lot further than they would on the Monster Tail, so I think the look of the bracelet is going to be a little bit more stretched out than the one I just showed you at the beginning. So I'm going to start with my outside color, which is white, and I'll go to that 3rd pin up on the left hand side, and I'm going to stretch the bands diagonally to the right, and I'm going to be starting with 2 bands at once. So I'm placing them on the pin, and they're both going diagonally to the right. And now I'm going to take 2 more white bands, and from this center pin on the right, they're going diagonally up and to the left. Push those down. And now I'm going to place a cap band that's just going to hold the bottom of the bracelet together, and that's going to go on the right side here in the middle. Now you can either double or triple this band. I like to triple it so that it is nice and tight. So in order to do that, I'm just going to place the band on my hook, twist and put it back on, twist and put it back on. So you'll see 3 rubber bands on there. And I'm just placing it right on this pin on the right. Again, if you feel like it's too tight or you're struggling with that, you can just double it. And now what I want to happen is I want the bottom rubber bands to come up through this tripled cap band that we just placed on. And so I'm going to reach down through the top 3 rubber bands, or the top 2 if you only doubled it. Going to get them to go behind my hook. Going to grab the next 2 bands in line. Going to hold this cap band in place, pull these up through, and I'm going to move these 2 bands to the pin above. Now I want to go back down through this cap band, grab the bottom 2 bands, and these are going to get released and move to the pin below. Now I'm taking this cap band and removing it from that pin, and these can slide right into the middle there. And now I'm going to put 1 more layer of white on before I start adding the colors. And so it's going from the bottom on the left straight across. And now at the top here, it's coming straight across to the right. And then I want to remove the bottom layer, so it's just 1 single band from all 4 of the pins. I'm going to push this down, and now I'm going to start to add the colors. So I'll do pink first, and it's going to go on the right hand side here, the bottom pin. I'm just going to place it to that next pin up, and I'm going to take the color I want to be across from it, which is going to be purple, and that's going from that middle pin to the next pin up. And then I need to place a cap band on the center pin, and I've decided to use clear. This is going to be like the center of the starburst. I want this to be doubled, so to double this I can either place it on my hook, twist, and put it back on so that you see two bands on, and place it right on the top. Or if you want, you can just double it on the pin, and I'll show you how to do that for the rest of the bracelet. And so now what I want to happen is I want these bands that I just placed on, these two colors, to come up through the cap band and go back on themselves. So I'm just going to reach down through this clear band, get both of these to go behind my hook. I'm pulling up the purple band. Just make sure that cap band doesn't slip off, and it's going back on the other end of itself. Now I'm going to go down through once again, and the pink is going to come up through and go back on the other side here. And now that I've done that, I need the bottom rubber band on each of these pins to move over the top. So just that one single white band, and push down. And now I'm going to add 3 layers of white, and they're always going to be going from the left side over to the right. So just have to do it on the bottom pins and the top pins. So that's 1 layer. And now I want to remove the bottom rubber band from all 4 of these pins. Push this down. Now I'm going to add a second layer of white, and I want to remove that bottom layer. Now in the front you'll see that the colored bands are now at the bottom, and so anytime we have the colored bands you want to make sure that you're removing both of them at once. It's the only time you're removing more than one band. So I'm getting both pink bands at once on my hook and pulling it over, and then the same thing with the purple. And on the back side we're just going to do 1 white, and now I have 1 more layer of white to add. And again, I'm removing that bottom layer. And you can see that the bracelet is going to pull to the right side. That's because we have this cap band that's still hooked around this pin, and that's okay. It's going to be like that until we're finished with that circle. Going to push all of this down. And now I'm ready to add my next colors. So what I'm going to do is actually remove this clear cap band from this pin. It's just going to come off for right now. That's going to allow me to put the next rubber bands on. So I'm going to do red, and then the color across from it is going to be this darker blue. And now I want to put the cap band back on. So just make sure that you're putting both bands. You can see it's a circle, but it's doubled, so you want 2 bands to come back on. And now I need the bottom rubber band to come up through and back on itself. So I'm just going to do these in order. Blue is on the top here. And I'll go back down through for the red. And then I need to remove the bottom rubber band from just these front pins. We're not doing anything to the back because we didn't put any on the back. And now it's back to 3 more layers of white. And then remove that bottom rubber band from all the pins. And now a second layer of white. And remove the bottom layer. So now we're to the colored bands here, so make sure you're getting both of them at once. And on the back side it's just one white band. Push this down. And now I have one more layer of white to do. And now remove the bottom layer. Push this down. And now I'm ready to do my next set of colors. So I want this cap band to come off. It's just going to hang in the middle there for the moment. And my next set of colors are going to be orange, and then I have this light blue, or like a teal blue color. And now the cap band goes back on, and these bottom bands are going to come up through. And now don't forget, you have to remove the bottom layer just from the front here, or from the right side. I'm calling it the front. And now 3 more layers of white. And remove that bottom. It may seem like a lot of steps, but I think once you do a couple of these, you'll really get the hang of it. There is a pattern that you follow for each of them. So now I'm ready for my next layer of white. And the bottom comes off, so it's going to be both of these colors in the front. And then just one from the back. And now another layer of white. This is my third layer. And now take off the bottom. And now I have one more set of colors to do. So I'm taking off this cap band, and now I have yellow. My bands are kind of a mess over here. And then green. And the cap band goes back on. And now I'm bringing these up through. And then the bottom white band will come over. And now we have 3 more layers of white, and then that will complete this very first circle. So that's 1. And here we're taking both of these bands off at once in the front. And now one more layer of white. And then take off the bottom. And now what you want to do is remove this clear band, or whatever color your cap band is, and you're going to push all of this down. And it's stretched apart right now, but as your bracelet starts to grow, it'll squeeze closed. So that is it for the first circle, and now we're going to start this pattern all over again. So we're going to start with our first colors. So first we had pink, and then purple. And we need to start a new cap band. This is going to be the middle of the next circle. So I want this to be doubled, and I told you I'd show you how to double it right on the pin. So what you would do is just take one side of the band and place it on, twist, leave it in your fingers, and then part that's in your fingers just slide on, and it's doubled. Now we need to get these bottom bands to come up through that cap band. Just make sure that the cap band doesn't come off as you're pulling these up through. And then we need one single band to come off just these pins on the right here. And now I'm just going to continue in the same pattern that I did at the beginning. I will do 3 layers of white, and then I will take this cap band off, add my next colors, and then put the cap band back on. The colors come up through. I remove the bottom layer just from the front, and then it's 3 more white, and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to fast forward here, and when the bracelet gets long enough, I will show you how to remove it from the loom. When you have your bracelet to the length that you'd like it, and you're ready to take it off of the loom, you want to make sure that you have this cap band removed from this pin. So then you'll just have 2 rubber bands left on all 4 of these pins. And what I'm going to do is take these 2 bands on the top pin here. I'm just going to move them over so they're closer. Just find this a little bit easier to do. Move this other side down too. That way you're dealing with the bands being a lot closer to one another. I'm going to take one additional band and I'm going to put it around all 4 of these pins, make a rectangle. And now what I'm going to do is take the bottom 2 bands and pull them over the top. Doing this for all of them. Just make sure that this band doesn't come off the pin as you're pulling the bottom ones over. And now I'm going to take the band that's on the top here, on the right, and move it over to the left. And I'll do the same thing again. And so now there's 2 rubber bands on each of these pins, and the bottom one will come over the top. Now there's just 1 band on each here. Just going to pick this up on my hook, make sure you don't lose it, and pick up the second one. Now you can take this off of the loom. I'm going to take a clip. I have an S clip here, and I just want to hook it through both of these rubber bands. And then what you would do for your bracelet is just take the clip and hook it through some of the bands on the end. I'm just going to leave it apart for now. So then here is what it looks like on the one side, and then here's what it looks like on the reverse. I think they're both actually pretty nice looking. Just depends on how you're feeling that day, what side you want to wear it on. And here's the other one that I showed you at the beginning. So I think you can see with this one that the back bands or the border bands tend to get stretched out more because I made this one on the rainbow loom and I made this one on the monster tail. So I think this one wants to not lay quite as flat, and it is definitely a little bit more stretched out. So I would suggest if you have a monster tail, make it on the monster tail, but either way it's pretty cool. So I'd like to thank Fay Bee for sharing her design with me so I could share it with all of you, and I hope that everyone has as much fun making it as I did. You can always leave me comments on YouTube and Facebook, post pictures of your creations to my Facebook page, and please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can stay up to date on all of my latest tutorials. You can also find me on Pinterest and Instagram, so please feel free to subscribe to those as well. Thanks for watching!